Outside of the Echo Chamber, the official I Dream of Indie Games podcast is brought to you by you, the gamer. If you'd like to join our mission to support indie visibility, head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. Greetings, Indie Warriors, and welcome back to what we strive to make the most entertaining and informative indie gaming show on the web. You are once again, or perhaps for the first time, tuned into Outside of the Echo Chamber, the official I Dream of Indie Games podcast. I'm your host, Ole Gamer Joe, and joining me today we have the agent of chaos, SilentSigns, and the newest member of the IDOI Dream Team. It's Scrambled Ashton, or as I like to call her, Sunnyside Ash. Aww. Our mission statement here at I Dream of Indie Games, well, it's to celebrate the indie gaming scene, shining a light on its talented developers and publishers. We bring you daily reviews, first impressions, top 10 lists, hidden indie gems, and games nobody played, the biggest indie gaming sales, and of course, this very show covers all of the latest indie gaming news. A very special thank you to every one of you out there who supports independent content. If you share our love and passion for indie games, well then consider joining us at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames. Your support grants you access to the coolest indie gaming Discord community, early ad and sponsor free shows like upcoming indies so that you can keep up with all the latest indie releases, and of course, this podcast 3 days ahead of time. Patreon supporters also receive a shout out in every single video that we produce, but best of all, what SilentSigns you're supporting?
Indie visibility.
That's right. And I should also call out that we have YouTube memberships, which I've just opened up for people to join that, and they can also get Discord access that way. Just another way to join our wonderful gaming community.
There's actually been quite a few people floating around out there in YouTube membership land for a long time. I'm sorry, we didn't forget about you. We just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I've done a terrible job promoting it, but there are a few exclusive perks you get with that too, including badges, little cute emojis of all of our faces, and now Discord access. It's pinned right in the community section if you want to join that way. All right, with all of that out of the way, if you are in public feeds, you can enjoy this show every Thursday. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcast, it's on pretty much everywhere that you can listen to a podcast. We are on episode 27. We're going to dive into all the latest indie gaming news stories, go over some of the games we've been playing. Our topic of the day, it's going to be spicy, SilentSigns. We're talking about NSFW, not safe for work video games, what we think of them, and if we play them at all ourselves.
Okay.
Which I'm going to assume we probably don't. But
out ourselves right now that we're like huge, sexy game fans.
But before that, we've got our icebreaker question. It's a fun one, I thought anyways. I'll start with you, SilentSigns. Would you rather smell like marijuana for the entirety of a day, or burp every 20 minutes and it stinks like a hot dog coming out of your mouth?
Honestly, I think I burp every 20 minutes anyway, so.
I was thinking that exact same thing. I also feel like I burp all the time, so it would just be the same as normal, I think.
I was literally thinking that same thing as I read back the question to myself this morning. I was like, you know what? I'd probably let out a good burp every 20 minutes, but it doesn't stink like a hot dog. It doesn't always taste
like a hot dog, no, but I don't know if I can often be like, that's the taste of food that I just ate. Normally I'm just like, a burp. Let's just move past that as quickly as possible.
You know what, though? I think I eat maybe 3 hot dogs a year, tops. I'm not a big hot dog guy in general.
I'm kind of scared of hot dogs.
Yeah, how big are hot dogs over there? Across the pond, as they say.
Hot dogs are different here. You can get the American style hot dog in places like the cinema, or if you go to a stadium or something. But most of the time when we think of hot dogs, we think of barbecues in the summer, and it's like a proper Cumberland sausage, or the in a bun, rather than a Frankfurter or anything. I'm scared, actively terrified of hot dogs in jars and tins. They freak me out. I will never eat one of those. They really freak me out.
Yeah, no, I don't. In a jar?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
No.
They're not in jars in America.
Maybe they are.
No, they are in buns in America.
Well, yes, but before they get to the bun in the shop, are they not like in a jar? Is that not something you guys? I thought that was a very American thing, or maybe it's just like
no, that's a pickle. A pickle's
Okay,
in jars.
wait. So in like tins or in like cans, they have like Vienna sausages, like those guys.
Well, yeah, but also they have like hot dog sausages, like Frankfurters.
No,
Like
that's
proper-
never happened here.
Maybe somewhere in the U.S.
Maybe in a scientific lab somewhere.
No, it could be. We're very we're in on like the New England part of the United States, and
Yeah.
we have very much like our own little New England culture. But then there's like the South and the other parts of the United States, and they got different stuff going on. So maybe they have stuff going on that I'm not aware
Let
of.
me send you a picture of what I'm thinking of in the Discord. So I can't believe you've never. I thought that this is a very American thing because normally it says the word American hot dogs on the front.
That makes sense.
Maybe it's like Germanic. That's why they're in jars because of all their German bratwurst sausages. Maybe, but
You know what I think's interesting though? We don't actually like to think about or even know what's in a hot dog here, right? SilentSigns. Like we have no idea what a hot dog is made out of.
I don't think I think I eat maybe one hot dog a year, and then I don't like to think about it. So.
Yeah, it's got all kinds of weird mechanical parts in it.
Ew,
don't
what
like
is
that.
it? A cyborg?
What was that ingredient from years ago that we read about? Pink
pink
slime,
slime.
or something like that?
Was-
Like,
that
our
was
Slim
in-
Jims were made out of
yeah.
pink slime? Or,
No,
that was so gross.
It was the McDonald's, the chicken nuggies.
Oh, you're right. The chicken nuggets had pink slime in them, apparently. And it was a whole big story here, just like the tuna was fake at Subway. Do you have Subway, Ashton?
oh yeah, we've got loads of Subways. Subways are huge here. It's like our only big sandwich chain. Yeah, but it's different. It's different here because our food restrictions and like laws are a lot more strict. You can't have any of that pink slime nonsense here. Wouldn't fly in the EU, man. That wouldn't get past our regulations.
Aren't like our Fruit Loops too, SilentSigns? Like, don't they have harmful dyes in them that are banned in other countries? It's
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I mean-
the food here is crazy
Did
weird.
you die?
I didn't die, but I'm
Did
just
you
saying.
food die?
I ingested bleach, maybe.
Nice. There's loads of foods that American foods that are not allowed in this country because they have some kind of chemical in them or some additive that is just banned in our entire nation. So we can't get loads of your foods.
Now I'm thinking maybe I want to smell like marijuana all day instead of hot dog because burping hot dog could potentially be pretty disgusting now that I'm thinking on it. Like normally when I'm burping, it's from like a soda or something like that. It doesn't taste bad, but that nasty taste every 20 minutes, that could be pretty bad. Marijuana doesn't smell good though, in my opinion, anyways.
No, and it's a real like noticeable smell.
Yeah.
You
Plus,
sort
I
of
feel like
hangs out.
that could also like impact your ability to get a job some places.
Yeah.
If you roll in smelling like weed.
Hey, it's legal
like-
here. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
no,
like all the
but-
bad bit without any of the good bit of marijuana.
Yeah.
are you both good at picking up on scents? Like if someone's really stinky on an airplane or something, do you notice it right away or does it not
Yeah.
really bother you? You do pick
Yeah.
it
In
up?
fact, I've been meaning
Yeah.
to talk to you about that.
Hey, I'm deodorized today. I don't smell. I'll have you know. Anyways, that was our icebreaker question.
Awkward silence.
Yeah. We're like, okay, Joe.
Ashton. Sounds like you had a interesting start to your day at least, but what have you been doing kind of in the last week? Anything cool
Oh.
going on?
Not really. I've been mostly just chilling. I mean, I play quite a lot of board games, so I was out till like 1 a.m. last night at a friend's house playing board games because that's just how cool I am. But other than that, I've just sort of been in the house a lot this week. It's quite sunny here at the moment, so we've been at the beach. But every single time I go to the beach at the moment, and it starts raining, so then I have to walk back from the beach getting wet in the rain. So that's an English lifestyle, really. You go to the beach when it's sunny and you get rained on. It's very, very English of me, I think.
You mentioned being a board game girly. Any particular board games that you like or enjoy playing every weekend?
Oh man, we have so many. I want more, but I've been told that we simply have not got the room for them. But we've been playing a game called Pandemic Legacy, which you might have heard of Pandemic. It's quite sort of a popular game.
Yeah, that's here. Yeah.
Yeah, the Legacy Edition, you basically can only play it one time, but you play it over the course of many sessions because you have to like destroy cards and stick things on the board and write on things. And it's like everything against what you would think of when you think of a board game, like you're vandalizing stuff, but you get told to do it. But that's a really fun game and I enjoy playing that. We've done like about 4 sessions of that so far, and I've been thoroughly enjoying myself.
I've always wanted to get into tabletop games, but I think we've talked about this before, SilentSigns. I get a little bit intimidated by all the rules. I feel like if I had someone like Ashton there that kind of show me the way and teach me things, I'd do okay at it, but like I feel overwhelmed sometimes.
We have some friends
I'm always in
good.
charge of the rules, so I would be more than happy to help.
That'd be wonderful.
That'd be great. Nothing new to report here for us, really, SilentSigns, right? We're still trying to sell our house. We're still being told we have to leave our house every hour to 2 hours. It's
so
random showings going on.
Look at it, and then we have to keep our house clean, which is really challenging with many pets.
Yeah, you would be surprised, like even cleaning every day, how much filth just builds up. So
not even just filth, but fur.
Yeah, basically fur. The damn dog just tracks black fur everywhere. I bought a comb yesterday, and there was just mounds and mounds of hair coming out.
I think I combed an entire dog out of him.
Yeah, so that's kind of been our lives. Board games, house stuff, nothing too exciting going on. But in our video game lives...
Also not much going on.
You know what? I did do a list on the channel SilentSigns recently. It was all about Sonic games.
Yep.
And so I reacquainted myself with some of those indie Sonic games. Sonic likes, I guess I'll call them. And that was kind of it because, as I mentioned, we've been, having to get kicked out of our own home on multiple occasions.
It's hard to play video games when you have to drop it every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
I tried out a few of those just to get reacquainted before I made the list. But how about you, Ashton? You been playing anything cool over on Scrambled Ashto, is it?
Yeah, well, I've been playing a few things. I have my Indie Wednesday games, and I played a game called Campervan Make It Home this week, which is like very cozy vibes. It's like unpacking meets, I don't know, like camper van life. You gradually get a bigger camper van, you have to unpack all your stuff, find places to put it away, and it's a really cozy little game. And then after the stream finished, I did then continue playing it in my own time, and that's a really nice sort of few hours to sink into that. But other than that, I've only really played Revenge of the Savage Planet, which I think I talked to you, SilentSigns, about like a few weeks ago when we were yapping before. I still am really enjoying that game. I think it's great. I need to go back to the altars, but I just haven't had the time to get back into that recently. But I've been trying to find time to play games and decompress as much as we can. I also have been playing some Mario Kart World. I am so bad at that game. I watched like clips on Twitter of people doing mad tricks, like getting across the whole map without touching the road, and I can barely get around a corner without the steering assist on. So I can't match their freak,
Yeah, me and SilentSigns got to try that a little bit in our local Target store, and I think we both also didn't get a good feel for it. It felt very slow compared to a lot of the racers.
Yeah, I felt like I was crawling. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because I've played other racing games more recently that were faster paced.
Yeah, maybe.
Or we're just not good at it.
Or that.
Well,
case,
I think they put a lot of energy into like the wall riding and the grinding and that side of things, that I do think the actual racing on the roads doesn't feel as fun. They sort of encourage you to like try and find sneaky little ways around the map, but I don't know. I've never been very good at Mario Kart anyway, so it might be a me problem, but yeah, it is a bit of a weird one. And I don't like how the second and third race in every Grand Prix is like you're getting to the next location rather than it being like a lap situation, so you can't really learn the races as well without having to start them completely over again. But I'm not competitive enough to be practicing in my spare time.
Yeah,
so I think I'm fine.
I was going to ask you then, seeing you've played more of the game than I have, obviously. It's more of an open world now, right? How does that work as far as contested races go?
Well, the open world is really only in if you want to, like it's just an entire different section. So you can't, the open world is only really if you're actively trying to free roam. The best thing they've done is added the knockout tour, which is 6 races where you just go from one into the other, into the other, into the other. But you have to be above a certain threshold. So you have to be above 20th place or 16th place or whatever. That's quite fun, and you kind of gets a bit tetchy as you get towards the end when you've got to be above 4th place and everyone's vying for that final position. But for the most part, the Grand Prix are as usual. You do a race, you stop, you start the next race, but you're driving from the first race to essentially that race. So half of the laps are spent driving down a long road to get to the location. where you do the race. It's weird. It's like fun, but it's definitely better in a knockout tour way than the Grand Prix, I think. Anyway.
To relate this to indies a little bit, there is this indie kart racer that's been around for a long time. It's called Super Indie Karts, I believe. It's been in early access forever, and it's more of like the 16-bit style throwback kart racer. Highly recommended if you are going to go on a little bit of a kart racer kick after this.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Other than that, though, Silent Signs, obviously, you haven't been playing much, right, with life happenings?
Literally nothing for maybe the first week in a long time. Like I didn't even look at a video game this week, which is really strange.
That's
I was
insane.
actually just thinking about that yesterday.
Yeah, because for like 6 years straight, we've done nothing but look at multiple video games in a week, right?
Yeah, it would be like come home from work, look at video games, go to bed. And there has been none of that this week.
And then with the Caravan game there, Ashton, it's probably a good sign that you're enjoying it, because I know we did some streams in the past, and after streaming for multiple hours, your brain feels pretty dead in my experience. So the fact that you actually wanted to jump right back in and continue playing, it's probably a good sign, right?
Well, it's kind of like a head empty, like brain off enough game where I can just sit there and sort of not think about anything apart from I have to put the food in the fridge so it doesn't get moldy. Or I have to make room for the clothes in my wardrobe, so I have to put the summer clothes in the drawer and put the dresses on the hangers or whatever. It's just quite like mind numbing in a good way, where you don't sort of have to think about anything. So it's a nice experience.
Do you find that too, though, after like a long streaming session, that you just need to kind of decompress and not look at video games? Or are you generally okay with jumping right back in?
It's a bit of both, really. I think I normally, as soon as I finish streaming nowadays, I go straight off to make dinner and like have dinner. So I'm away for long enough where I think I give my brain enough time to focus on something else, so that by the time I've sort of had my food and maybe watch some TV for a bit, I'm like, pick up a game or something for an hour or two before I go to bed. So I don't find it too bad if I'm like breaking it up, but I don't think I could finish streaming and then stay sat at my desk for another 3 hours playing a different game. I think you need to have that like cut to go somewhere else before. Like after you finish work, if you're working from home and you sat at your desk all day, but you want to play games at your desk, you almost sort of need to walk away for a bit to give your brain that time to like cut off from what you've just been doing and start having fun again.
I have like always admired streamers, because I feel like that is such an endurance test, just to sit there for 3 hours, and you got to kind of be an entertainer while you're doing it too, right? You know, you've got people watching you, you got to communicate with them.
You got to be on.
It's not as easy as some people make it look, Silent Signs. I know you have some experience. What was kind of your thoughts on streaming?
I wasn't very good at it. That's my thoughts. Mostly because you'd stick me with a first-person perspective game, which, as we've discussed many times, is not good for me. I'll get nauseous, and then I'll be like really into the game. Like a great example of that was Mortuary Assistant, which is disgusting but very fun. And I was really enjoying playing that, but I was getting so ill, not because I like of the grotesque things on the screen, but because of the stupid first-person controls.
I think also too with streaming, you kind of have to not care what people think about you, right? Is that a big part of it?
Yeah, like I think part of it is like, I mean, being on the internet in general, you have to sort of build a wall between, do I actually care what these strangers think about me? Or can I just focus on people who I like? If the people who I like me, then that's fine. But I don't care if a stranger is going to be mean to me. So you sort of have to sort of like separate if you really care if someone's going to be mean to you or not. Most of the time, Twitch chat are lovely, and you've normally got a good set of mods within your pocket to sort of help you manage if anyone is going to be hateful. And 95% of the time, if not 99% of the time, everyone's lovely and they're just there to support you and have a good time. So I think that it's not too bad most of the time, but the internet is the internet, and people will appear to be mean just because they can. So
yeah, see, I've always seen it as like, in a way, you're kind of inviting people into your life a bit more. Like when I'm doing a YouTube video, it's just a narration. Nobody really cares about like me personally in that way, if that makes sense to you, Silent Signs.
Yeah.
Whereas this is very intimate almost, right? When you're in a stream, right? You are face to face with the person. They're in their room. They're in their place of living, and they're sharing details about themselves. That scares me a little bit about streaming. How do you kind of handle that?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard. I think that I don't have a filter at the best of times. So I just like to tell people about my day and like what I've been doing. And I think that is obviously a very personal and intimate thing to share with strangers. Like, oh yeah, today I went to the shop, or I'm having this for tea, or, you know, I had an argument with someone today or whatever. I think it is definitely a lot more of an intimate experience. But I think if your community that you're building is kind and nice and, you know, you get on with them, it just sort of feels like you're chatting to your friends. It's less about there being that divide, because you are just people who you chat to maybe in the Discord, or you chat to on Twitch every day. They are inherently strangers, but they feel like just chatting with your friends because they're there every day and, you know, they care about your life and you know stuff about their life. So it is a weird one. It's a weird balance to have. I don't think anyone really can define a streamer relationship with an audience member in a way where it doesn't sound like problematic, but it's good fun. And if you've got a good community around you, you'll have a good time.
Yeah, that's something I always have strived for here at the channel. SilentSigns is building good community. Obviously, when you get to a certain amount of subscribers, you're going to get a lot of randoms and you're going to get troublemakers and stuff. But
a lot of times, though, the troublemakers aren't necessarily the subscribers.
No, usually not.
No.
Right? It's usually people just dropping by to kind of get a reaction of some kind.
Yeah, people who aren't familiar with us and like are trying to shake us in some way, like cause a stir, you know?
Yeah, right. That's where the mental toughness aspect of this game comes in, I think. And you really do kind of desensitize yourself after a while. There are things that probably would have bothered me, said about me like 5 years ago, that I actually would kind of laugh at most of it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I laugh at most of the comments these days. You guys have probably seen, I'll post it in our Discord every once in a while. Just the most absurd things that people feel comfortable saying. Not necessarily out loud, but like in writing. It's like, really? You actually had a conscious thought and thought that this was acceptable to share with the world.
It's the like blindness behind an icon or a username. That's what gives people the sort of brazenness to just be like, actually, I disagree with you. But it's like, I never comment on any YouTube videos ever.
Same.
Even if I thoroughly enjoy it. And I'm like, I would never take the energy to comment and write like a full essay about what I didn't like about a video. I would just move on with my day because I have other things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way. I think maybe in the history of me using YouTube, I've made like 10 total comments and they've all been like positive and uplifting and like supporting a creator. Never once has it ever been like, actually, you suck, and here are the 10 reasons why.
Now, I know we've got a little bit of a tangent here, but I'd like to hear from both of you while we're talking about it. What's the weirdest comment you've seen? I'll start with you, Ashton.
Oh my God, there is so many. I am very vocally anti-AI. I think it's terrible for the industry. And I'm not talking about AI as NPCs, just before I get that out of the way. I mean like AI art and writing. And somebody I think they were trying to do a gotcha, basically got AI to write a poem about me and how I didn't like AI and that made me stupid. But it didn't hurt my feelings because it was written by a robot. I was like, if you'd have taken the time out of your day to write a poem, maybe I would have been upset. But this means nothing to me because you didn't even bother to do that.
Honestly, I wouldn't even be mad. I would have just been impressed that somebody used their time.
That's weird.
to write a poem about something so stupid.
Was it like a takedown insult poem or like?
No, it was like a terrible like limerick. Like it was awful. I was like, this poem makes no sense. And it's just trying to be like, you're uneducated. And I'm like, it's a poem written by a robot. Like I don't care what a robot thinks about me.
It's kind of ironic when you are doing this poem and you're not even actually writing it or coming up with the creative aspect.
No, nothing. They just asked the AI to write a poem about me and talk about how I didn't like AI. And I was like, ugh, get alive.
Interesting. That's something I've never had happen to me yet anyways. Maybe next year. We'll see how this whole AI thing goes.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some indie gaming news stories, SilentSigns. We're starting with Hades 2. Are either of you Hades fans?
I've actually never played it.
Never played it either. I never
finished it. I played it, but I never finished it. I'm not very good at that kind of game. I get overwhelmed with all of the many things that are moving and I couldn't figure out what was happening. But it's great. I enjoyed myself, but I never finished it.
So I was going to say, despite not being necessarily great at the genre, the roguelite style games, do you enjoy playing them regardless?
It's never a genre that I gravitate towards. I don't often like the fact that my stuff gets reset. That always upsets me. I'm like, but I had a really cool sword, or I had a really cool thing and you just took it off me. I can appreciate them from a distance and respect them for how good they are for a lot of people, but I just would never gravitate towards playing one.
I actually feel pretty similar in some situations to how you do there. There was this one game, well, it's happened in a few games actually, but this game was called Ultros that I was reviewing.
Oh, yes.
And they took away my double jump, which is just a cardinal sin to me. You do not take a man's double jump away from him. I was like, come on, now I can't reach these cliffs again, because that just aggravates me to no end in a Metroidvania. When you hit a wall, you're so close to making the jump, but I feel you need that one extra jump to get there.
That's a roguelike Metroidvania. That's a whole other beast. I like some roguelikes. I like more roguelites than roguelikes, where
that
they
don't completely punish you.
They don't totally strip everything that you've earned away from you. But I like Turn Up Boy Robs a Bank.
Oh yeah, that was kind of cute. And
it's more like bite-sized to me.
Yeah.
Smaller, it feels more manageable. It's silly, it's fun. I like that one, and I like Going Under.
Going Under was really cool.
A lot.
I like that game a lot. Yeah,
that's a really fun game. I don't know if you ever checked that one out, Ashton.
They also did another Crab's Treasure, right?
That's Aggro Crab, yeah.
Yeah, Aggro Crab. Really cool.
It's a really great game.
Anyways, the reason I'm talking about any of this is because Hades 2 has finally hit its last patch, meaning that its full 1.0 release is imminent. But based on your reactions and the fact that neither of you have finished Hades 1, I'm assuming you're not too amped up to try Hades 2?
I think I'll give it a go. I don't know if it's super essential to have played the first one for the second one. I don't think the story carries on. I think it's the same, obviously, pantheon of gods, but I don't think having 100%ed Hades would be like a barrier to entry for Hades 2. I might give it a go. Maybe I'll be better now than I was a few years ago when I tried to play the first Hades. I hope that they've got some even worse English voice actors who are definitely not English to voice the characters, because that is always my favorite thing. But I think it looks really good, and I hope this goes down as well as their first one did, because I think it deserves a lot of love, that series.
I only feel like my excitement is a little less heightened because I've played so many of these games in this style at this point, SilentSigns, that another game like that, even though it is the kind of the granddaddy of the genre in a lot of ways, just doesn't really seem super appealing to me. But
I'm interested in it only because of the developer and the soundtrack.
No, the soundtrack will certainly be a banger.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Have either of you tried the early access, or are you maybe waiting for the full release?
I have not.
I have not tried the early access. I think it was a stealth drop, and so I just didn't actually get to it.
It came out at the same time as something else into
Crow
early
County
access.
came out that same day.
Yeah, so I think we were a little bit distracted.
So I got distracted with other things. All right, story number 2. Are either of you into FMV games?
Love an FMV game.
We both like FMV games.
Definitely.
Okay,
Love them.
They are so cheesy and fun.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's why I like them.
Yeah, exactly. That is the appeal of an FMV game. I like all the Triple Jump lot. We would always hang out on like a Saturday night and play games by a company called Wales Interactive.
Oh yeah, we've worked with them here.
Oh yeah. I love their games. They're fantastic. They're mad janky. We played a whole one. I think it's called I Saw Black Clouds. And in the trailer, there's like some ghosty, like haunted stuff happening. We played the whole game and didn't see a single ghost. And we were like, I thought this game was supposed to be about ghosts. Like, where are the ghosts? And then my friend played it the next day and he was like, oh, yeah, I literally saw so many ghosts. We just managed to pick every single option where we didn't see a ghost.
Like a no ghost run. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
We tried, what was the name of that game? It's like in VR, where it's a FMV game.
Oh yeah, that was not Wales Interactive.
No, it wasn't, but it's like 360 video, so like you can look all the way around you. Sorry, I'm doing that, like turning my head away from the microphone. You can like look all the way around you and see what's going on in the FMV.
Yeah, any like VR FMV is next level crazy.
It's wild.
Really.
I mean, it's still
I've
cheesy.
played one in VR.
So cheesy.
It is so cheesy, but it's so good.
So fun.
And then obviously, growing up, I was a big fan of games like The Seventh Guest, where the early FMV, those early Sega CD games and stuff like that. I'm glad that the genre is still around in some form, but the reason I'm talking about this at all is because a new game has been announced in the FMV genre. It's called Dead Take, first-person FMV psychological horror game that's coming to us from Sergant Studios, known for Tales of Kenzaru Zao, and published by Pocket Pair, the team behind Pal World. I'm sure you're both familiar with Pal World, at least. Right?
Yes, yeah. Tales of Kenzera was the one that was announced by the guy at I think it was Game Awards, and it was an ode to his dad, I think, and it was like a sort of side scroller Prince of Persia type game. I think it looked great. I never played it. It's not really my type, but it looked lovely.
Same here. I actually never played that game.
It's a very much a completely different genre that they've gone for, which is quite exciting. It could not be further, I think, from their first game.
That's
if
an
they
interesting
tried.
pivot. Yeah.
Well, with Dead Take, it is expected to launch in 2025 on PC. The game places players in the role of an actor searching for a missing friend, Vinnie Monroe, who vanished after a Hollywood party. Set inside a mansion filled with corrupted video files and human-like figures, the gameplay combines object-based puzzles, atmospheric exploration, and video splicing mechanics using found USB drives and memory cards. The game features live-action performances from Neil Newborn of Baldur's Gate 3 fame and Ben Starr from the Final Fantasy franchise, with music composed by Ross Tregenza of Cyberpunk and Deathloop fame. Does this sound interesting to either of you? Go ahead, Ashton.
It feels like they made this game for me. This game is everything I love. I love a psychological horror game. I love an FMV game. I love puzzles. I am so excited for this game. I saw Ben Starr tweet about this and I was like, why is he trying to fight Neil Newborn? What's happened here? And then I read about it and I was like, oh yeah, this is for Ashton. So I can't wait. I hope it comes out. I can't wait to stream it. I hope it comes out soon. I have my fingers crossed. Maybe they'll be waiting for an October release for Spook Month.
You know what's interesting here too? We're so used to FMV games having kind of these no-name actors in them and actresses, but they're really going for it with this one, aren't they, SilentSigns?
Well, more so than usual, at least.
Right?
Yeah.
You're so used to these budget scripts, and that's kind of the fun of the genre too.
I was going to say,
I'm
that's
almost a
kind of
little
the
concerned
charm.
it might be too high budget, but we'll see. Hopefully they can keep the campiness.
I always like with an FMV game, it's like a bunch of people who you have no idea, and then one semi-famous actor. One of the most recent Wales Interactive games had a bunch of randoms in, and then a guy who played Doctor Who, and you were like, cool. A guy who played Doctor Who in a movie that no one ever really remembers that he was the Doctor, and I was like, what's this guy doing in this game? That's great.
How many doctors have there been at this point?
So many.
At least 50
15.
doctors. 15? That's it? I thought it'd be way more. That show's been
Is
around.
that not enough for you?
No, that show's been around since the 60s, 70s?
Yeah, but it took a hiatus.
You better not get me started on Doctor Who, or I'll be going on for hours. I love Doctor Who, but yeah, it did take a hiatus. It stopped for 30 years, and then came back in 2005.
Okay.
2003.
Well, very important question then. At the very least, we need to know who your favorite Doctor is.
Oh my God. Okay. She didn't get very good writing, but I love her. My favorite Doctor is Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, the 13th Doctor. She's great. I thought she was really fun, and I wish she had better writing and better companions, but I won't get into it because I could talk about that for hours.
I have an interesting story about Doctor Who. So I jumped in. It was probably around that 2005 era, right? That's when it was coming back.
Yeah.
And I loved Eccleston. I thought he was such a funny, quirky doctor. And then they pulled him from the show for whatever reason.
That's how Doctor Who works.
And I was so angry
not know how
about
this works?
He got one season, though. Don't these doctors sometimes get 3 or 4 seasons? The guy after
there's a whole story there. He really had a bad time filming Doctor Who because he was having a fight with the BBC and he hated them. And he basically started tweeting about how much he hated the royal family. And they were like, okay, you can't be on our flagship TV show anymore.
Yeah.
So they got rid of him.
I did not know that. Oh, okay. Well, that explains things. But that sucks. I thought he was so good. And then he was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't want to watch this anymore. He's gone. But I should not be bitter and actually
No,
watch.
you have to watch past that. Come
The
on.
Tenet series was supposed to be very good, right?
Yes.
Oh, he's a lot of people's favorite Doctor.
Yeah.
He's the fan favorite, and they are really good series. To be fair, he's really fantastic, and the stories are really good, and the companions are really great. So, if you manage to get back into it, I think you will have a good time watching Tennant and Matt Smith's Doctor as well.
I know there were issues in more recent times where fans were upset, or a certain sector of fans were like, "Oh, this is going woke or whatever," too, right? With certain doctors being used. Wasn't that a big story?
Yeah, but there's like, oh my God, you're being so woke. You're talking about climate change and racism, and you've got like a Rosa Parks episode. But then you look back at like David Tennant's stuff, and also back in like the old Doctor Who, and it's just as woke. We just didn't have the word woke back then because it was just called being normal.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Oh my God, I have to tell you, Ashton, there's this restaurant that opened like maybe a couple miles from us. It's a breakfast place, and they had no idea about anything
They
woke
are,
related.
I believe they are Mexican-American, and
Yeah.
they opened up a restaurant called Woke. And it's a breakfast place. So, of course, you know, they serve coffee and eggs. And, but they received this huge amount of controversy when they opened because people thought
it was like politically related. And they were like, what are you talking about?
It's so sad that it came to that, but also it's really good breakfast. So
yeah, I felt kind of bad for them in that
I
situation.
did too.
Actually.
Yeah,
I hope they keep being woke and serving fantastic breakfasts.
I agree.
All right, let's go into story number 3 here. It comes from The Verge. Layoffs, SilentSigns, unfortunately. More bad news over at Microsoft. They're laying off 9,100 employees. Some games were canceled as well, including a brand new Perfect Dark and Everwild. Does not seem like good times over at Microsoft for the Xbox brand. This is interesting, totally different from what happened to Sega back in the day where they ran out of money. Microsoft has infinite money, but they still cannot find success with Xbox consoles. I'll let you react to this news first, SilentSigns.
That's a lot of people losing their jobs.
That's
devastating. I mean, I imagine they employ a lot of people, but damn, I mean, what are they doing? Why?
They spent $69 billion acquiring Activision, and since then, all they have done is lay off their staff.
Great.
I will never forgive Microsoft for what they have done over the last 12 months. They have laid off so many people from so many different sects. They have merged huge companies together and resulted in huge job losses. They never needed to buy Activision. It was an entirely like greedy thing. And to see a company spend $69 billion on something and then lay you off the next day because they can't afford to pay you anymore must feel awful. So I can only send my like deepest condolences and like the most sympathies to everyone affected by this because it's just ridiculous. I also think it's crazy that King have had to make cuts. They lost like 10% of their employees. The guys who make Candy Crush, that absolute printing money machine, and they had to make cuts. That's crazy.
It is insane what's happening over there. SilentSigns, you have something to add?
You know, I really want to understand why acquire these companies just to lay everybody off. Like, is it truly just to take out like competition? Was it a threat? And they were like,
It's
we'll
like
show you.
It's an interesting cautionary tale that you can't necessarily buy your way to success. Sometimes you can have all the money in the world and it's still not enough if you don't have the product behind that people are interested in.
I feel the same way about Disney too. I feel like they were just like gobble, 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 like acquire all these huge franchises and then they're just like letting them.
It's greed, really. In like its purest form, it's just companies being greedy. And I think that is the issue, is that these companies, they have enough money, so they spend the money, and then they realize, oh man, we don't know what to do with any of this stuff. Like, we haven't got the resources to actually manage a company this massive, so I guess we'll just lay them off and like send them off in different places. I think also it's such a shame about these games being cancelled. The Perfect Dark remake, we had like a slice of sort of what it was going to look like ages ago, and it looked so good, and I'm really disappointed that they've cancelled the remake because I think it could have been a really fantastic game. Obviously they've cancelled other ones as well, but that one is the one I think that is the biggest sort of sad face for a lot of fans of the series and Xbox in particular.
I mean, obviously this is very tragic and people are probably scrambling to figure out what to do with their lives and all of that. But I wonder what new companies will spawn out of this. People who are just so done with the Microsofts.
Look
and
what
the
happened with Expedition
Activisions
33 as an example.
Exactly, you know? So hopefully it'll be a spark for some creativity and originality and new developers to take form. And
I'd like to ask you both too, where's kind of your relationship with Xbox as a console that's going to be in your house potentially these days?
I've never owned one and I never will.
Okay, so SilentSigns obviously never been an Xbox girl. Ashton, is there anything that Microsoft can do to get you to own an Xbox at this point? You know, there's not really that many compelling reasons.
No, I mean, I have Xbox Game Pass on my PC, and my PC can run games much better than the Xbox can. So why would I spend £400 buying an Xbox when I can just run the same games on my PC for £10 a month? Part of me is like wanting to cancel my Xbox subscription because, you know, put your money where your mouth is, like don't support these companies that let go of huge amounts of people. And I should cancel it. I just think that Xbox Game Pass is unfortunately an absolutely fantastic platform and filled with lots of really good games, and value for money wise so good that like it is crazy to me that it's even profitable. I don't know how it's profitable, but I think all they could do to get people, I don't think they care about a console anymore. I think we're going to move into a world of Xbox where they don't have a in-home console anymore, but I don't know how they're going to be able to ever get people to buy a console when they've made it so accessible other places. Their whole like this is an Xbox campaign is obviously to get people to play Xbox games wherever, but I just don't know how they make all their money back from putting all of these hundreds of games, including brand new releases, on a platform that charges you £10 a month.
It brings up another point that we were talking about yesterday, though, because I was seeing something about a boycott of Spotify. And it just feels like every service is, you know, receiving backlash because obviously the people in charge, the higher ups in these large corporations are corrupt. And it just, you know, it is what it is. They're all self-serving and power hungry and money hungry. It's so hard for the consumer, though, because you can't argue with value, right? Like we all have limited funds, especially in what's a tough economy. So I don't fault people for like wanting the value of Xbox Game Pass or wanting the value of Spotify. But it's frustrating then because you're like conflicted in and of like inside yourself. Like I'm supporting this company I don't support, but also I can't afford to not support this company I don't support.
It makes sense. I mean, you're getting all of their first party games for that one flat fee versus paying $70 to $80 for those games. And, you know, the Xbox is really in the history of games that I can think of, it's probably happened, but they're the first ones to raise the price of their console after it had already launched,
wild.
Which is just insane to me. Now they're asking for additional money from the original launch price. Almost unheard of. But they've had a focus.
Well, unless you're PlayStation. PlayStation won't ask. They won't ask for you to pay money for their base console, but what they'll do is they'll stop producing the base console and then produce the Pro version. So you have to buy that, which does cost more money.
That's true. Those steps, you know, like a little bit more power, but you'll pay a lot more money too. And that's kind of been a trend over the last many years too. Xbox has been on this campaign trail for a long time about cloud-based gaming. You still have this sector of gamers out there who love their consoles. They love the physical media and all of that. Can they succeed? I'll start with you, SilentSigns. In cloud-based gaming, can they win people over? Like digital, it took a long time for people to switch over to digital, right? Even though it is accepted now. Can the same thing happen in cloud gaming, do you think? Can Xbox live on in a way that way?
I don't know. It's a different market. There's always going to be people who want to own physical media. Like, even if they're not the majority anymore, there's still going to be that section of people that are only going to buy something they can like physically own the products for.
How long does that section exist, you know, before they age out?
I mean, we'll all die eventually, I guess. But even like with music, for example, like you always have those that collect records or CDs or tapes. Like there's always going to be physical media collectors, whether they're still going to continue to make the products to support that. I mean, if there's money to be made, I can't help but believe that these companies will make that money, right?
Ashton, I'll go to you. What do you think? Can Xbox succeed with cloud-based gaming only in the future?
I don't know if they'll go solely cloud-based gaming. But I do think we're going to see an end to them putting the energy and effort into producing physical medium. I think that if they do go purely cloud-based, we will see a Xbox handheld that will run cloud-based gaming that is entirely dedicated to that kind of system. And that's maybe how they'll make some money. But I also think maybe we'll see prices go up for the systems that allow you to cloud game. And I think that's going to be the issue, because if you're charging people more money for games they don't own, don't even physically have anywhere digitally or physically, I think that's going to be the sort of transition that needs to be given to gamers in a palatable way is how they're going to charge more money for games you don't actually own. I mean, we've already seen people kicking off about the sort of people being able to take your digital games away.
Yep.
So
that's going to be a hard sell for some people.
I agree, but only time will tell. Let's get into story number 4 here. Either of you Dying Light fans? Ashton, you can go ahead first.
no.
Never played Dying Light? I never played it myself. How about you, SilentSigns? But obviously,
none of us have.
the game is huge, but
Yeah.
in the indie-related scene, it is getting a crossover with Balatro, another game that I've not spent nearly enough time with.
Now that's a game that I do love.
Okay, what is it about Balatro that spoke to you?
I don't know. I think I got a bit obsessed with it. Like my fiance handed me the Steam Deck, like, go and keep yourself busy. I've got stuff to do, and like opened Balatro for me. And I was like, I don't know if I don't really like card games. I don't know about this, but man, I got really into it. Like I was doing huge runs of sort of cards because that is also essentially a roguelite. So you're restarting with nothing at the end of your run if you fail to meet the sort of requirements that you need with each level. I just think it's such a cleverly designed game. It is so addictive in the way that like mobile games are quite addictive. In the gameplay loop is satisfying and easy to understand and diverse every time you play it. So I think it's a fantastic little game. I do not like card games. I do not like games like poker. I cannot abide them for the best part. But for some reason, Balatro got me by the neck, and I played it a lot for like 4 days straight, did not stop playing it. And then I was like, I have to actively delete this off my phone because I will never get anything else done for the rest of time if I don't.
Well, you're not the only one. Obviously, the game was a huge viral sensation, and now you cross that over with a game as big as Dying Light, then, well, you know, that's a match made in heaven if you happen to like both of those games. Looks like you're going to get Jimbo's outfit that you can wear, a ceremonial dagger, a Joker charm as well, and a paraglider. Those will be fun little trinkets that could be added to your Dying Light collection.
Pretty cool.
Are they adding any stuff to Balatro as well, or is it all just stuff that they're adding to Dying Light? Because that feels like a really random, like you'd think it would be like, oh, there's Dying Light cards being added to Balatro, but Balatro merch coming to Dying Light seems like a sort of reverse of what you would expect from this kind of situation.
Well, they're calling this Dying Light 2 cross Balatro, so maybe they'll do a Balatro cross Dying Light 2 in the future. Kind of
but I think it says a lot that like this little indie game is getting its own merch in a game like Dying Light. Like that's, I think, really impressive for their team. They're like, oh, a Fortnite skin. That would be crazy. A Balatro Fortnite skin would be like, oh, we've definitely made it.
Story number 5. This was interesting, SilentSigns. A small bit of controversy involving AI and the alters. Did you happen to hear about this story?
I did a little bit, yeah.
So, quick rundown here is there were accusations that the alters relied on AI usage for some of its assets without disclosure. And now we have an official response from 11-Bit Studios. They say, we've seen a wide range of accusations regarding the use of AI-generated content in the alters, and we feel it's important to clarify our approach and give you more context. AI-generated assets were used strictly as temporary whips during the development process and in a very limited manner. Our team has always prioritized meaningful, handcrafted storytelling as one of the foundations of our game. So, to shorten things up here, it sounds like just like a little asset that was created with AI was left behind in the game, and people went crazy about this story. What do you think, SilentSigns? Obviously, nobody that worked on the alters should be accused of being lazy or anything. A ton of work went into that game, and I don't think this is much of a story at all, but that's just my opinion.
I fear we're going to have a lot of this in the future of people accusing everything of being AI as well. Like, obviously, we don't want to buy and support products that are strictly made with AI or like using AI assets or AI scripts.
Which is why, sorry not to interrupt, but the disclosures that Steam have,
That's important. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, if it was like a placeholder for something that they were going to ultimately put into the game that wasn't AI, I can kind of excuse
understand,
that.
right? They meant to go back and touch it up and put the proper artwork in at some point. You know?
Yeah.
That's their story anyways, whether you believe it or not. You know, the internet loves controversy, so.
Of course.
Ashton, what do you think of this?
I'm really torn because in a lot of ways, what they're saying, and also regarding the translations that they used AI for, I think that is potentially more problematic than the other things, but
that's
I'm not
a good
sure.
point too. Yeah, we should mention there were some translations in some of the videos that play in your base, I think.
Yeah,
right?
There's some movies you can watch like to get morale up, and they've said in their statement that they got it really late on, so they wanted to get translations done, so they use an AI to do it, but they intended to at some point get those translation agencies to do it and then replace the AI translations with actual done by people translations. So I think what's hard is that obviously a team of this size maybe struggled with getting everything done by hand, and okay, that's fine. And it's just work in progress, like stuff. And again, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Like they definitely could have been an accident, but it also could have fully been intentional to leave it in there and just hope nobody noticed. I think that if we can avoid using AI, I think that is better. It's literally killing our planet. And I think it needs to be something that is regulated a lot more than it is. But I just think that the use of AI can be helpful to a lot of people. And I understand that. But I just wonder how necessary it was to even use AI work in progress images when you have graphical designers who could just whip up a little something at any given time. I wonder if it was a matter of laziness and or sort of budgetary reasons. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I would prefer that if nobody used any AI at all when it comes to art as well as sort of text and writing and stuff. But if this was an accident that they left it in, then obviously that's really unfortunate for them because no one would have ever known had they not have left it in. So yeah, I'd rather they didn't use it, but if they had to, at least they're removing it. So it's not actually a part of the game.
Yeah, I feel similar about AI as Ashton does here. Replacing thought is what scares me about AI, when people are actually doing full-on scripts that were not written by them at all. That's the scary part about me. I'm not talking about like a grammar check or something like that. I'm talking about full-on words that you did not write going... We're seeing this on YouTube a lot, right? Even SilentSigns with creators. They're pushing out these AI-generated shorts at an alarming number, and the top 3 videos in the last month were AI-generated. We're going to be seeing more of this in video games. Do you agree? Or?
Yeah, I mean, even things like translations, that's a person's full-time job, being a translator.
Of course, yeah.
So you're taking work away from people, and obviously, if you're working on a real tight budget, like I get the temptation, but at the same time, there's a right way and a wrong way. I don't know. In
this particular case, though, I think it was made into a bigger story than it might be. It sounds like it was pretty minor, but the fact that it's being used at all, is what got people talking a lot, I think. So hopefully it doesn't damage that game too much, because I feel like The Alters is an amazing product that deserves all the praise.
It's obviously a huge achievement. A lot of work went into it.
Yeah, it's a shame when you get a story like that, when such... you can really feel the passion in that game. I know you've been playing it, Ashton, right? Have you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, I think it's a really great game. And I do think you can see like that the people who made this game made it with a lot of energy and love for video games behind it. And I think that's what's really important. It's the fact that you can tell it was made with love, and there is certain AI slop games and videos that you can just tell were made because it's easier to just get a robot to do it than to get a person to do it. So I hope that other companies maybe can see this and be like, we have to not use AI because people aren't messing about with this. They hate it. But we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't affect them too much because that game is really good, and hopefully they can replace those assets in a hotfix or the translations very soon so that somebody can be paid for the work. But yeah, we'll have to see if this is an issue that continues to develop any more so than it currently has.
We've even seen it in kind of our grocery stores in the last many years, SilentSigns, where people are being replaced by machines, and now you just go to the automatic checkout and stuff like that.
Not even just that. We've seen local businesses use AI video to promote their business.
Wasn't the listing of our house, like the writing was AI?
It's so gross. Yeah. And like, I hate it. I could have written a better description for our house, and yet the real estate agent used AI to craft this description. I'm
so
like,
it is everywhere. It's happening. It's in our graphics cards.
Anyway,
it's unavoidable at some point. We are using AI, and a lot of people don't even realize it. Our GPUs now are powered with AI in a lot of cases. That's what getting these higher frame rates and stuff.
Things like that I almost can excuse because that's not somebody's job. Like somebody's job isn't to run your GPU and stuff. But I think the AI where it's taking jobs from people and also where it's taking creative like thought processes away, I think that's where the problem is. Using AI will not do your brain any favors. If you can't write an email on your own, that's something you need to fix. You can't just ask a robot because you will never ever learn. And if you've got like, I've seen sort of small theatre companies in the UK using AI to make their posters, and I'm like, you've almost certainly got somebody who you know or somebody knows that can draw a picture and make a poster, but you've chosen to make some god-awful, terrifying AI image instead because it's easier and you're lazy, and it's laziness and it's taking that creativity away from people, I think is the problem.
At the very worst case, you could go on Fiverr and pay a real artist to do it. Like,
absolutely.
It's not
or just
hard.
use like Canva. Canva, you can just make it you can literally just stick it together so easy, and it's free. And you don't have to use a robot to do it.
We had, when we released our pixel arts out there, a commenter said,
God.
where did you generate this art from? I'm like, well, I paid an artist. What are you talking? I didn't generate
it.
So it is scary what's happening out there for sure. I do fear for the artists and, the writers out there and stuff, because I've seen it. I'm able to pick up on it.
But you notice the things that AI is, oh my God, we've gone on such a tangent, but the things that AI is replacing, it's never like the real work that brings people down. It's the creative tasks, like the things that we once really enjoyed doing, like writing and art and music. Like you got AI music out there. Did you hear there's a Spotify band out there that is all AI?
Yeah, and that takes like
Terrifying.
The royalties out of it too,
but
right? So
it's all the arts. It's not like nobody's gonna do my freaking insurance job. Like they can't. The AI doesn't function that way. Why are we creating artificial intelligence that takes away all of the joy out of life?
I also think I've seen that in my field too, in YouTube videos where you have those robot voices. There's no life to it. It's not interesting to watch. I do these top 10 lists, probably 2 to 3 of them a week, and it is pain sometimes to write those, come up with original words. Sometimes you're talking about games that aren't out yet, but I go through it anyways because I want it to sound like me and put my own personality into it when I release those videos. And if it doesn't have that, then what's the point? You're just a cardboard cutout of everything else.
Why can't AI file my taxes, but it's gonna like make me a poster? Like, come on.
Maybe it will in the future. I wouldn't mind that necessarily. All right, let's get into our topic of the day, even though we've gone on like 3 tangents here with different topics.
We've had multiple topics of the day.
Yeah. We've been certified yapping.
That's what podcasting is all about, right? Just bullshitting and talking.
Exactly.
So.
There's a dog on my foot.
Our main topic was all about not safe for work games. They're growing more and more popular on platforms such as Steam. Mainly that's where I see them a lot of the times. I'm sure there's websites out there. I don't explore such places, of course. These range from pretty mild to downright graphic in nature, and they cover a wide variety of different genres. There are adult-themed puzzle games, there's platformers, there's RPGs out there. I'm curious what you both think. Now, personally, I always like to say there's something for everyone out there. I think it's good that people are enjoying adult content in their own time. Ashton, I'll start with you. Where do you stand on not safe for work games? Are they being regulated well, too, on Steam? Do you think they do a good job of filtering those games? And do you think they belong at all?
I don't think they do a very good job of filtering those games at all. I think that you can't open Steam and like look at like the top charts or sort of newly released and not just be bombarded with like, oh, what's this nice new anime game? Oh, that is tits. Cool. Cool. But I think that like, I do agree, people are entitled to their own proclivities. They can do what they want. And if they want to play a sex game, then by all means, play a sex game. Enjoy your filth. That's fine. Who am I to judge? We all have our own little things that we don't want anyone to know about. The issue I have is that these sexy games are a dime a dozen. There's like hundreds and hundreds of them get released every single week. Like they're just constantly coming out with different titles, different art styles, normally AI imagery. And it's like, oh, it's Candy Crush, but if you do this, this woman's clothes come off. And I mean, fine, go ahead. But I do think that it's a problem that there's just quite so many, and just quite how easy it is to stumble upon a lot of it. So I think they are fine and you can play them if you want to. But I do wish that Steam had some small semblance of a filter or something you could do to take those out of your suggested content should they come up. Also, like, I can't believe how crazy it is how quickly they can just let you see boobs. Like, you just click on it and you don't even always have to do that age restriction thing that you do when it's something gory. Like, if it's a horror game and it's got like blood and gore and it's 18 plus, that you have to always put your date of birth in. But the amount of times I just sort of click into a game and it's full on porn and I'm immediately greeted with like a video of some poor woman being penetrated by whatever. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't even have to put my date of birth in, but I am here. So that's one of my issues with it, is quite how accessible it is on the Steam homepage at the best of times.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with these games existing too. You're right, you can stumble into them quite easily. I even heard people on the eShop, Nintendo of all places, their home opening page when they logged onto the store, you just have some girl spread eagle or something, and your kids could be looking at the screen or something. Like, what is going on here?
It's because they're not called like sex game. They're called like Maids in Paradise. And then suddenly you've got like, oh, this is a nice little game about maids. And it's like a maid like, oh, lovely, a cafe game. No, it's just porn. But it's not called have sex with this woman. So
I am also surprised how graphic some of these games have gotten, because Ashton is right. I've clicked on a few, you know, maybe a morbid curiosity, maybe even by accident. I do the upcoming indies every week, and some of them are blurred, in fairness to Steam, but some of them are still porny, and you don't realize it until you click on it.
We go through
and
those.
And then I'm seeing some chick getting railed with like 3 dildos or something insane like that. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, my God. SilentSigns, go ahead. You haven't spoken on this topic yet.
We go through that list like every week of upcoming indies, and like we go look at all the upcoming games, and there's so many. I'm like, is this a porn game? Yep, that's a porn game. Is this a porn game? Yep, that's a porn game. I don't personally care for them. I don't think I've played one, but it was, I don't want to say it was against my will, because that sounds like I was violated in some way, but like someone was playing it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Do you remember that?
Yes, I think I do.
Bone Town.
Oh yeah, Bone Town. Yeah.
Bone Town. That's great.
As you might expect.
Welcome to Bone Town.
I think it got a sequel too.
I think it did.
Oh, it's coming up actually.
So yeah, that is a thing that exists out there. That was actually the first one I ever saw when I was like, oh wow, people really just like make and play these types of games. That's interesting. They're not for me. I don't care that they exist. I do think there's some weird ones out there that shouldn't exist. Like when we're flirting with like schoolgirls and things like that.
That is
I think
a bit
it's
odd, isn't
gross.
it? You know, I know different cultural stuff, but that's just
Sorry.
I mean, there was one that came out recently, and I won't go fully into detail because it might be quite triggering to people, but there was one that came out recently that was basically telling you to sexually assault a woman, and it was a porn game, but with the intention that they were like, yeah, this is about sexual assault and you are the person committing it. And that got taken down because somebody was like, this is messed up, like, you can't make this game. And then that managed to get taken off Steam, but yeah, it was a pretty like awful one.
Freedom of speech and all that, that's great, and like make whatever you want if there's an audience for it. However, there has to be a line if we're talking about like things that are genuinely disgusting and illegal.
Well, yeah,
I don't
that should go without saying,
think
though, right?
that should exist.
But, you know, I don't get to talk to you girls every single day of the week, and I'll be the first to admit I like a little bit of anime art sometimes. That's a bit, I don't know if it's like
you like a
porny,
buxom woman.
Yeah, you know, I'll admit it.
You like a voluptuous lady. That's we all like a voluptuous lady, Joe. There's nothing to be ashamed about.
You know, I'm turning red right here, SilentSigns talking about it. Good. But I do like that art style. Like, a little bit of chest in some of the art. It doesn't bother me per se.
No,
but does this offend either of you as ladies of culture, of course?
I mean, it could be a little bit eye-rolly sometimes. It depends on the context. if
It's when they jiggle when you're standing still. That's my problem. Like I don't mind if you're gonna have jiggle physics, but they have to be proper physics. You know, you can't just jiggle. They can't just jiggle for fun. They have to jiggle for a reason.
For intention.
You mean boobs don't actually do that? I thought they just jiggled around on you all day.
It's not like
no, unfortunately
gravity.
not.
But like this whole big craze with the anime cyborg girl and stuff like that. You know, I like that art style, but I don't necessarily need the girl to be naked. And on the same note, I played Stellar Blade, and I was like, this is verging on being pretty porny. So is there a balance, you think?
That's a difficult thing, I think, because I don't, you know, I'm not going to yuck someone's yum, and it's fine. And I do think that it's nice that we now have female protagonists that don't look like that. So I feel less offended by female protagonists that do look like that. I think it's when you have like, the main guy is wearing like a really cool suit, and he's got like he's got really muscly, but he's hidden underneath his big fur coat. And then and the woman has got her boobies out and is wearing the shortest skirt. And is wearing the shortest skirt you could possibly wear. And
well, in fairness, though, you've had the Duke Nukems of the world, right? They're all roided out and big muscly.
Hey,
right?
he's wearing pants, though.
You know? Not all. Look at me.
Fully clothed,
most men are not like that. I'm just saying.
But I think that's my issue with it sometimes, is the fact that like, I don't mind if we're still getting a balance of female protagonists that aren't like that. It's when that becomes the norm. That's my problem. I have no issue with anime games and like that art style. And, you know, if you want to make a sexy game, make a sexy game. I think there is a big distinction between a sex game and a sexy game.
Yeah, that's important.
I think that's sort of the thing, but I think it's fine if they've got a bit sexy and, you know, the skirts are a bit short. I just think the problem comes when all of your female protagonists look like that. If every single one, you know, if Ellie from The Last of Us was coming out looking like that, then we'd have a problem.
And some booty shorts.
I'd almost feel like less connected to the story in that way, because part of what I liked about The Last of Us was the realism and the sense of like the visceral world and stuff. If she was just like a big anime trope, that would have been kind of dumb, in my opinion. But there's a time and a place,
thing,
right?
Isn't it? It's context. Yeah.
Like Nier, it kind of made sense. They tied it into the story in a way with Nier Automata and stuff like that.
I was literally just thinking of 2B. I was like, yeah, she looks cool.
And she became an icon too. And I think men and women like 2B, right?
I like 2B.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that like even with Stellar Blade, like if it's a game that's good enough that it doesn't matter that your protagonist is jiggling while standing still, then I think that's fine. Like, I don't mind. I'm not going to say you can never have another sexy woman in the game ever. I'm not going to say that boobies aren't allowed, and that if they're going to be, you know, making a woman, she has to be buff and no boobs allowed, flat as a pancake. But I do think that there is a distinction to be drawn with. Is your protagonist sexy because you can, or is she sexy because that's what the world looks like? Also, and that's fine.
Is being sexy her only personality trait, or is she a little more complex than that?
It depends on the game, right?
Does she just moan in the background all the time, or does she have a personality? I've just found a game on Steam. I was like wondering to see how quickly it would take me to find one. I have found a game on Steam. It took me a few minutes, called Boobs. Just called Boobs.
That wasn't taken?
And I clicked into it, and it is just boobs. You have a hand and you just sort of seem to smack the boobs around. It's just boobs. Just boobs. Okay. Entirely.
Interesting.
So,
alrighty.
This has been an enlightening episode.
Yeah.
I'm sorry this was our first conversation.
So all that to say, NSFW games are fine if they are, you know, properly regulated and you're the correct audience for them. All games do not have to be NSFW games. And as long as there is a good variety of portrayals of both men and women, we're all happy.
Yeah, and don't accidentally leave your webcam up when you're playing those games.
Ew.
Nobody wants to see that.
No.
That would be not good. Let's get into some comments from last week's episode. We talked about Switch third-party games reportedly not selling so well so far, and our feelings on boss battles. So you weren't here for the episode, Ashton, but if you want to just give us quick thoughts, Did you have any opinion on third-party games on Switch and whether they can succeed in the future in that marketplace, or are people just buying Switch 2 for Nintendo games and indies and that kind of thing? And how do you feel about boss battles, real quick?
Boss battles, I always don't like them. I don't think I can think of a single boss battle I've been like, wow, I had a really good time playing that boss battle. I always find them annoying, and I have no sense of satisfaction after I finish them at all. And then when it comes to Switch hardware, software, I think maybe it will sell better, but for right now, people aren't buying the Switch 2 yet. I mean, it's doing well, but they're buying it for Mario Kart.
I think so too.
So
yeah.
until there's more games for it, I don't think that they will sell very many third-party games on there at this point.
All right, we had a few comments on both topics. This comes from John F5975. He says, I love Nintendo and my Switch, but here's the thing. They don't learn from their mistakes. All the AAA games that are being advertised as running well on the new system are like 5 years old at this point, sometimes even up to 7. No one but a handful of diehard Switch fans will care about any of those. Doesn't matter though, because they make enough on the system with exclusives anyways. Do you both agree with that statement? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, another comment here from New Year's Studios. I mostly dislike them, boss fights, but once I actually beat a boss, I usually feel great. A little guilty if it took too long due to the time sink. I think that's why I don't like Souls-like titles. It's kind of, I have that same problem in Souls-like games, SilentSigns, where I get tired of fighting the same damn boss time and time again.
You also get tired of me fighting the same damn boss.
It's frustrating to watch someone die. I imagine this is a problem in streaming too, Ashton. I don't know if you play a lot of difficult games over there, but do people get annoyed watching you get stuck on a part in a stream?
Yeah, I think there is a level of frustration. There is like certain people who are like, do not backseat game me. I'm going to figure it out myself. But I have not got that patience. And I'm like, okay, can somebody tell me what I'm supposed to do? Because I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing right now. So somebody just tell me and we can all move on with our day. But I don't play Souls-likes because I know I will have a bad time.
That's interesting. Our previous streamer that worked for us was the absolute, the opposite of that. She hated when anyone told her what to do in the game, as stuck as they were. So it just depends on the person, right? What they like and what they don't like.
Yeah,
everybody's
absolutely.
different.
So you don't usually mind people shouting stuff out while you're streaming?
I'd rather ask for it. Like I always say, like, if you're going to help, that's fine, but wait till I ask, because if it's like a puzzle or something, I'd rather be given the time to figure it out myself. And then if I genuinely have been on it for too long and I can't figure it out, then I will maybe ask for help. And that's when I think it's fine to say something. But I wouldn't just be like, fine with someone being like, the answer's this, because I'm like, well, I haven't even had time to figure it out myself. Like, let me have a go, and then you go.
Can that get someone banned, do you think, eventually, if they keep acting up and they keep spoiling the game?
Absolutely. They would at least get muted if they kept doing it on purpose.
I mean, that's just being disrespectful.
Right, yeah. You never had anyone drop a full-on spoiler on a stream, though, have you? Have either of you seen that before?
I mean, yeah, some people, like, even if they're not dropping a spoiler, they've come in to chat with the name of, like, the spoiler. So The Last of Us 2, somebody came in to chat, like, just after that game launched. Luckily, I'd already played it, so I knew what was going on, what was going to happen. But it was, like, very early on about Joel, spoiler. And I was like, as their username, and I was like, that's so scummy. Like, obviously people don't know if it's true or not, but the fact that you're making a point is like, that's the worst.
Someone literally went through the trouble of creating an account just to do that. So stupid.
A Twitch name just to do that.
That's
terrible. And then they're stuck with that for like 3 months as well. Dumbass.
One more comment here. Switch 2 game key gimmick. This comes from Enan63. I'm not a fan of, but at least they keep the physical box art, which I love. I love physical copies, even though there might be no game cartridge. I haven't really gathered too many opinions from you yet, Ashton, on, I know you have a few in your background of physical games and such, but do you feel strongly about this whole game key debacle?
The game key thing, I think, is problematic in a different sense over the sort of physical media situation. I'm a big fan of physical media. We have an entire shelf downstairs full of games, a bunch of PlayStation 1 games and stuff that don't all fit on my shelf. But I think the real issue with the game key thing is that it prevents sharing of games between people. I think that it is very much against so when I play a PlayStation game, if I buy a game, I normally buy it digitally so that me and a friend can share it using like family sharing. And that's really handy because we only got to buy one copy of the game and we can both play it. But with this kind of thing, you limit that you could only basically play it one time at a time, and then that's it. You can't play it on your other console. If I was to take right now my Switch 1 with me, I would have to reactivate my game key for Mario Party, for example, so that I could play it on my old Switch. And I think that is a weird thing and a problem. Like, you limit your game players, like your players' gameplay abilities. I think that's really weird. So that's my problem with it. I love a physical game, but that I think is secondary to this weird new gimmick that they've got going on.
Yeah, I do love the Steam Family Share. We use it, of course, for IDOI members too, SilentSigns, with you, me and Mike, and it's awesome, because Mike might want to review a game that I might want to play down the road, and we can still share it that way and play. And so something.
Yeah, we use it all the time over here as well. Me and my fiance, we constantly use it.
I think that's going to do it for this episode. A little bit of something for everyone. We hope you all enjoyed it. Coming up on the channel next week, we have indie games that will have your wallet crying, as we do every Monday. Of course, Patreon members can enjoy that early. It should be live for everyone by the time you're listening to this. I'm doing a list on Tuesday. It's all about beat-em-ups, SilentSigns. You like a good arcade beat-em-up, right? So
yeah.
I've highlighted some of the ones I'm excited about that are still releasing this year. Ashton, you have a new show potentially coming out this week. It might be live now.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. It doesn't have a name. I realized this when I was reading the notes, and I was like, it doesn't have a name, so maybe we have to come up with a name. Maybe we'll spitball some things this week. But I've filmed it, and I've found a very suitably weird, well, I say I found, I was tasked to play by a wheel a very suitably strange game. So that should hopefully be out if I can knuckle down and properly finish editing it tomorrow, because I've been unwell this week, so I haven't been able to film the stuff I wanted to film because I didn't have a voice, or I was just like snotting everywhere. So I'm hopeful that we're able to get it done in time to be out in time for people listening to this.
Can you give us a little bit of a tease of
was
what
it the game called Boobs? Be honest.
It was not the game called Boobs.
I wish
it was the game called Boobs. Yeah, I mean, we're going through the Steam games that have like no reviews and playing them to see if we can find some real hidden gems. I've been doing it in alphabetical order because I had to give myself some kind of remit to narrow down the hundreds and thousands of games that fit my criteria. So we're starting with A this week, and we have a game that it was so weird. It was like made in a collaboration with a song, but it's a really, really odd game. It's a bit like Mr. Mosquito, but not. I can't explain it. You're gonna have to just watch it because I can't explain what it's like. It's so weird.
All right, this should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then we have a couple reviews, I think, on the channel maybe this week, along with Hidden Indie Gem Friday, one of my personal favorite shows, where we discover all of those gems that didn't get played enough by people. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another episode. Ashton, thanks so much for your time. We are moving the actual recording of this time, too, so you don't have to like ruin your whole Sunday in the middle of the day, because we're 5 hours apart.
It's okay.
People didn't realize. But
yeah.
But that's going to do it. And as we do, SilentSigns, we close this show with a ridiculous, over-the-top sound. I thought because it's a not safe for work episode, I should do a not safe for work sound.
No. I thought you should muster a hot dog. Oh, my God.
Burp. Hey, I'm going to try to do a male.
No, please don't. No.
That was an orgasm from a man.
No.
Goodbye.
I feel sorry for you, SilentSigns.